Chof Nissan is a particularly strange day. I was on a WhatsApp chat today where the one guy said that today he trembles and the other guy says he doesn't tremble. It's a day of action. If you look at the Yom de Pagra, or I don't know if you call it a Yom de Pagra, what you call it, obviously it was some type of special day. Since Tovshin and other Chassidim have been bringing on this day, it's now 28 years. Koyach was Chof Ches Nisan. The Rebbe spoke about in Sicha Chof Ches Nisan. He starts off the Sicha Chof Ches Nisan as he did, like Darkei Bakodesh and all the top, the Nun Aleph Sichas, where he speaks about how great the day is. He starts on Bichlal, he really focuses more on the fact that it's Zach. But then he gets into the Chof Ches part of it, and he says that it's Koyach Nisan, the strength of Nisan. What's Nisan? Nisan, he understands the month of Geula. And then there's the Koyach of Nisan, we're now reaching the Koyach of Nisan. So this year is Koyach Shonim since the first Koyach Nisan. Yesh Leimar, obviously, I'm not a prophet or any mashpir of any type, but Yesh Leimar, that what the Rebbe said, Chof Ches Nisan, the Koyach of Nisan. Now we have the Koyach, not only the Koyach, but perhaps the Poil, the ability to the Poil Mamish, fulfill what the Rebbe had asked for us on Koyach Nisan, the first time. Yesh Leimar. It's a strange day because almost all of our other Yom Pagra is either Yortzai, special day, all other festival days in Chassidus, or Chassidic days, the other days that we bring. It's a Yortzai of somebody, it's a Yom Huledes of somebody, it's a day a guy became Rebbe, he was freed from prison. What are we celebrating today? You know what we're celebrating today? The Rebbe spoke for 3 minutes, beautiful. No. He spoke for hours every other day. Today he said a short sichus, so today we're going to bring. It's the only day that we celebrate. The Rebbe spoke for something. What's so special about today? This time the Rebbe spoke. Why is it the only time that we have a Farbrengen an annual Yom de Pagra or a Farbrengen day based on something that the Rebbe said? And it's not just something the Rebbe said. The Rebbe only said something for 3 minutes. The whole big koch of Chof Ches Nisan is 3 minutes. And we made a whole Yom de Pagra out of it. It's strange. What are we doing over here? Why are we even coming? The Rebbe spoke about Mashiach. The Rebbe spoke about Mashiach. The Rebbe spoke about Mashiach. Hours on other occasions. Hours. Shaftim. Look at all of Nun Aleph Nun Beis. What was special about Chof Ches Nisan, Tovshin Nun Aleph, that we made it into Yom de Pagra? What was so special? What changed? You know, if you forbrang, I've never forbranged over here in Yeshiva, or not been forbranged that. In Bashkacha Pratis a while ago, I think it was a couple of years ago, Rabbi Nesset asked me, in Bashkacha Pratis he asked me before Pesach, and I couldn't do it, and he said, you know, one of these future days, so I said, yeah, whatever. So it happens to Bashkacha Pratis is Chof Ches Nisan, the day that, it's good, because I happen to have a little bit of a koch in Mashiach, and I should have much more of it. But, you know, if every other day, that's a Yom de Pagra, if you want to bring, you could sit and say stories. Say stories about the Rebbe that's affecting you. What are you going to say? Stories of Chof Ches Nisan. You're missing the whole point of Chof Ches Nisan. Yeah, if it's a story that's going to encourage or bring out the point of Chof Ches Nisan, yeah. But Chof Ches Nisan is not a day of stories. It's not about celebrating somebody's life. We're not celebrating somebody's life. We're not celebrating anybody's birthday. It's not a day of Farbrengen. It's a day of taking what the Rebbe said of Chof Ches Nisan and figuring out how we're going to do it. That's what Chof Ches Nisan is. It's not. We don't say stories of Chof Ches Nisan. In Thomas, we could say stories of the Rebbe, maybe, perhaps, I don't know. We could say stories of Chof Ches Nisan, but that's not the goal of Chof Ches Nisan. I think the Rebbe would be disappointed if we sat and sang stories. So what can we tell you? What can we say? I would like to perhaps introduce that Chof Ches Nisan really takes Chabad Chassidus to the crescendo, to the ultimate purpose of everything. Why? If you look in in Chassidus, in Chabad Chassidus, the way Chassidus works, it started with the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov introduces Chassidus in a way of moifsim and showing Abbas Yisrael and unity and small vertlach that arouse the neshama and arouse the nuchais. The Maggid of Mezritch was more about spreading that concept through creating new Rabbeim. The Chavrai Kedisha comes along, now it's about taking it into the next level. The Alter Rebbe wanted that we should take Chassidus, these concepts of Chassidus, Yiddishkeit, and take it into a primus. The whole purpose of Chabad Chassidus was that Yiddishkeit, your connection with the Eibishter, should be yours. The rest of the Chassidus believed was that we teach Chassidic concepts, but the main connection to the Eibishter comes through the Rebbe. You're connected to the Rebbe, you'll be connected to the Eibishter. Comes along the Alter Rebbe and says, no, it doesn't help that your Rebbe is connected to the Eibishter. You have to formulate your own primistic internal connection that you feel it's going on yourself. You have to have your own understanding. It has to come from yourself. And if you look at all of Chassidus, it's all about your avodah and your change the world. It's not about the Geluim. Yeah, there was miracles in Chabad from our Rabbi, but it was never about the miracles. It was always about our avodah and our change, our effect in the world. Or what are we doing? And everything was in Chabad Chassidus, so we're taking Chassidus, we're formulating our own connection, we're getting our own understanding of how we can connect to the Eibishter, understanding of our neshama. But there was one thing that we never really took ownership of. I was a 4-year-old kid when the Sikha was said. So I don't really remember that much which was going on. I think, possibly, I remember as a little kid, I was around 4 years old. My father, the one night, tells me, Mashiach's coming. And of course, as a 4-year-old kid, when your father tells you Mashiach's coming, you believe him. And I said, please wake me up when Mashiach comes. I was very disappointed the next morning. And then in school, we made up a reason why didn't Mashiach come last night, because there was 2 kids that were fighting. And the Mashiach on his way, so the kids fighting, so Mashiach couldn't come. Okay. But that's, and I think, I can't remember clearly, but I think it was around the Chof Nissan mark. You know, the Rebbe did lots of campaigns, campaign of tefillin, zuzah, kashrus, whatever. Every campaign that the Rebbe took on, it was quite basic. You go when you start doing this. You start going out, you start. For some reason, when the Rebbe started the Mashiach campaign, we never got it. Like, that's my understanding of what was going on in the world at the time. People just didn't understand what the Rebbe wanted. Trying to prepare for tonight, I was listening to the Farbrengen from Yossi Paltil, where he says, and you could understand it by what went on afterwards. He said, every time the Rebbe spoke about a campaign, we always thought it was something that was negayah to us. But as soon as he started talking about Mashiach, he's talking to the Eibishter. The Rebbe is going to bring Mashiach. That was the Rebbe is bringing Mashiach. We'll do whatever he says, whatever he wants us to do, we'll do, and then Mashiach will come, the Rebbe will bring Mashiach. You see, in those videos, there's one particular video, that lady that comes past after the Sunday after Chof Nissan was the same feast as this year. It was a Thursday night. That was when the original Chof Nissan was saying, they never talked about the fact that it's Thursday night, of Shabbos, and then it's going into Shabbos, and then Sunday's going to be Rosh Chodesh, going into Beis Ear. All these connections that the Rebbe was trying to give, mamish a murder time for Mashiach to come. And then, what happened? Chof Nissan was like it was a wake-up call. It was a wake-up call that suddenly hey, the Rebbe actually means that he wants us to bring Mashiach. Till now, we thought the Rebbe is going to bring Mashiach. How are we supposed to bring Mashiach? How are we supposed to bring Mashiach? We don't even understand what Mashiach is. The Rebbe wants Mashiach, so we try to do what we love the Rebbe. The Rebbe's a good guy. Excuse me for talking like this. But he's like, we love him, he's our leader, we think he's murdered. But Mashiach is not something that we want. Like, who wants Mashiach? What do you want Mashiach for? What are you missing in your life? You need Mashiach. The Rebbe, he understands his inyanim. He understands it because he's missing it. We're not. That story that I started off saying with that lady, the famous video that goes along, and she says, I want to see my son. Rebbe, you have to bring Mashiach. And the Rebbe, it's so out of character where he says, no. You don't give it back. If I'm the Rebbe and you believe that I'm the Rebbe, then I'm telling you no. I've done everything I can. It's like a strange language. Has the Rebbe ever spoke about himself? I have done everything I can. He says, I've done everything I can, and now it's up to you. To do what? What are we supposed to do? And when that lady puts her foot down, no, it has to be from you. The Rebbe says, no Rahmanas. You're missing the point. Mashiach is not up to me, it's up to you. I've done everything that I can do. Now we have to do. There's a sefer over here, which I have over here, which is my new Bible. Not my new Bible, Chas v'Shalom, but it's a sefer that anybody, in my opinion, and you may have heard it from anybody else, anybody that really cares about the Rebbe's inyanim, and really cares about Mashiach and understanding Mashiach, should really look at the sefer. It will give you a really good understanding. The sefer in Mashiach, this guy, Shalom Dodger Wolf, I don't know him, but what he did for us is he took every single sikh of the Rebbe, with all the Midrashim and the Man Chazal and the Gemaras, and he partially went through every single one of them, and he put it into such a clear understanding for us to be able to understand the concept of Mashiach and the way the Rebbe understood it. When you learn sikhs, you don't always see the connection between one sikh and the other. You don't see how one sikh is a connection with the other. Chof Nissan to something that was a start. It didn't start. It was a start of a new process. Every week after that, the Rebbe started, and he did something he never done. He started referring back to Chof Nissan Sikha, the Sikha that we spoke about. Parsha Shmi, 2 days later, he started speaking about the Sikha of Chof Nissan. The next Shabbos, Tasriyah Mitzorah, Achremos, every Shabbos after that, he was referring back for the next few Shabbosim about the Chof Nissan, saying that was just the start. What was the start? I told you this is the avodah for you to do, and I'm going to tell you. Chof Nissan was just telling us this, boom. Now you're going to do it. But that's it. That's all it is. Now you're going to learn the rest of the sikhs to figure out what actually we're supposed to be doing. So over here in this sefer, in a very easy to understand fashion, he explains 3 main inyanim that the Rebbe said about what our avodah is to do about Mashiach. First thing he said, that it's not, that the main thing is, not the main thing. He says it's, I meant b'poil mamish Torah and mitzvahs. Continuing to do Torah mitzvahs. But with an extra hidur and a hisofa in Torah mitzvahs, but with a tzipiyah in the Mashiach. Tzipiyah, with an expectation and with a yearning and a tshukkah for Mashiach. I have a little bit of my own understanding of what that means. I'll get to that in a moment. The second thing that the Rebbe said was, it's not that we have to, it's also within Yanim which are negayah to Inyani Ha'ilam, to things that are in the world, worldly things. And the Rebbe mentioned like Bale Asik. Don't think you should now quit your job because I said now it's your job to bring Mashiach. No. It's for Bali Asik. In your Asik, in Inyani Ha'ilam, Mashiach's for the world. So bring Mashiach to the world. That means by giving tzedakah, by using your money to give tzedakah, and by finding ways to be involved in mechazik inyanim of hafatas hamayonos. And one of the things that the Rebbe said in Chof Nisan was sheitaksu eitzah, that they should come up with an idea. He wanted ideas from us. So the Bachrim in 770, after Chof Nisan, compiled a list of all the sichos of Inyanim Mashiach that the Rebbe had said over the years. Of course, the mems are replete with sichos about Inyanim Mashiach, and they presented to the Rebbe. And I think it was Bobby or the following Shabbos. So Shabbos is really excited. The Rebbe said that there's the derech hayeshara, the straight way to bring Mashiach. So the first Shabbos Shmini, he says it's about a sofer, it's about Torah mitzvahs papel mamish and a sofer with a tzipiyah for Mashiach. And then he says it's also Inyan Olam. That's what I meant. Comes along the next Shabbos, he says, but there's also a derech hayeshara. And Yei Shlemer, at least he mentions in this book, that it was in connection to what the Brachim had presented about learning in Mashiach. And he says like this: the derech hayeshara, the most straight way to bring Mashiach, is learning in Yonigul Mashiach. And he mentions to go through the Midrashim, and to go through the Gemaras, and the Nach, and everything, until, and as far as I know, it's the only time that I've ever mentioned his own sichas, until the sichas from Nasi Dereinu, Lekutei sichas from Nasi Dereinu. The Rebbe was telling us to learn his sichos about Mashiach. And he called that the derech hayeshara. This is the straight path. And he also mentioned that the other derech hayeshara is tzedakah, because the Gemara says tzedakah mekarev tzedakah. So there's two things that the Rebbe calls the derech hayeshara. If he says I'm giving it over to you, it's now your responsibility, which what that means is another question. But those things that the Rebbe spoke about, what's the derech hayeshara, is learning in Yonash Torah Chassidus, Yonash Mashiach. Sorry, I missed out one point. The third point that he mentioned earlier was hafotz in Torah, bichlal, and particularly in Befrat Torah Chassidus. Okay, that was the third prat. Derech hayeshara is tzedakah and learning in Yonash Mashiach. I want to first talk about the concept of the tzipiyah for Mashiach, expecting and a yearning for Mashiach. When you do Torah mitzvahs, I spoke about this at a Fabrengen a few months ago, with Young Yeshiva, but it's something that I made a realization of. Baruch Hashem, we recently started a Chabad house. So one of the things that we did in order to be successful is we decided to do a little bit of coaching. Before we started, 3-4 months ago, Joel Gershwin. And the model that they use for coaching is one of the first things that you have to do is you have to formulate what's your ultimate goal. What are you actually trying to achieve? And he's worked with Chabad houses, but he works with businesses. He says business people often really struggle. What are they trying to achieve? They can't try to make money. But what else? Like, what do they do? He says, but when he works in the Chabad houses, it's usually quite easy to figure out what they're trying to achieve. Well, you're trying to bring people closer to Yiddishkeit. I said, yeah, of course, that's what we're trying to do. But then I thought about it a moment. I said, hold on a second. That's really bringing people closer to Yiddishkeit is an element of it. What we're really trying to achieve is to bring Mashiach. We're trying to bring Mashiach. And by the way we're going to bring Mashiach is by bringing people closer to Yiddishkeit. The ultimate goal. And there's a whole process of how you reach your goal. You figure why you're doing this. So you do that because you do that, etc., etc. So you say, we're trying to build the Chabad house. What are you trying to do in the Chabad house? So we're trying to bring people to daven and to shiurim and to whatever, Psoyim, learning Torah, Hebrew school, etc., whatever else you're thinking of. Why? Eventually we want to bring them closer to Yiddishkeit. Okay, and why do we bring them closer to Yiddishkeit? And that's the ultimate question, which from my understanding, is some Chabad houses stop there, because that's it, because we want to bring them closer to Yiddishkeit. Do you want to bring Mashiach? That's it. If we're not trying to bring Mashiach, then we're really missing the point. That's what the Rebbe taught us. Maybe till the Tafshin Mims, it would have been okay to say that we're just trying to bring them closer to Yerushalayim. The goal changed. It's now upon we're trying to bring Mashiach. So, why do you do this? Because business focus and training teaches people, or the science says, that if you have your goal very clear, and you know exactly what you're trying to achieve, and you'll be much more focused, and you won't get distracted by unimportant things that you don't have to be doing, and you'll try to make sure that every element of your business is helping you achieve your ultimate goal. And you'll stay focused. So in our case, we're Yidden over here, we're Lubavitch Chassidim in particular, we're trying to bring Mashiach. We put on tefillin in the morning, why? Because we want to bring Mashiach. We learn Chassidus in the morning because we want to bring Mashiach. We do Shabbos. What the Rebbe was saying, do Torah and mitzvahs. I mean, Pogmam is just do Torah and mitzvahs. But what's a little slight change in your Torah and mitzvahs is now your kavanah, your intention behind the Torah and mitzvahs. When you do your Torah and mitzvahs, you're not just doing another mitzvah. You're not just connecting to the Eibishter through this mitzvah. You take it to a new level. Do you see Mashiach in what you're doing? Do you see that you putting on tefillin? I'm not talking about the guy outside of the street that you put on tefillin. That is a little bit easier, you push it down. Do you see your tefillin as Mashiach? No, tefillin is what I have to do, which is what I do every day. The tzipiyah, that's the way I understand it. I may be wrong, but that's the way I see it. That we're supposed to take the Torah and mitzvahs, the pashut and yonim that we do every day. We put on a talis, we give tzedakah. And the Rebbe started this concept of giving tzedakah and having a mind for Mashiach. And I think it applies to every mitzvah that we're doing. The Rebbe wanted us to start doing mitzvahs for the ultimate goal.
Can we go chanunin of the zois with Mashiach?
I don't know. We'll do it again.
Hey, Mosai, L'chaim, brother.
Started saying earlier that from Chof Nisan, you can possibly say that it changed everything in Chabad. That's why it's the one day that we forbring based on what the Rebbe said. Because the Rebbe told us in Chof Nisan that now the goal is to bring Mashiach. And the way for us to bring Mashiach is for us to bring Mashiach. In other words, that he's not going to do it. He's going to give us the tools, but we're going to bring Mashiach. And this is obviously plain and simple Chabad. I can start off by saying Chabad is about our avodah. We're doing avodah. Nobody's doing it for us. And you think back now, you think, how did people think that the Rebbe was going to bring Mashiach for them? You know, you talk about people saying, if the Rebbe wants, he could have brought Mashiach. Yes, but it wouldn't have been a Chabad Mashiach. A Chabad Mashiach has to come from the Amcha. That's the whole pshat of Chabad. The whole pshat in Chabad is that it's not enough that the Rebbe does it for you. The Rebbe doesn't give out shirayim. He may guide you, but he wants you to lift yourself up onto that level. That's what the other Talmidei HaMagid fought against the Alter Rebbe. They said it's not shayach, it's not healthy, it's dangerous. You're playing with fire to try to lift people with pashat and neshamas to a higher level. What are you doing? And the Alter Rebbe said, no, this is what we have to do. We have to take simple people and make them shayach to alikus on their own rights, that they should have their own understanding of Geffen Chaim. And comes along the concept of Mashiach. We don't know that the Rebbe will take care of for us. And the Rebbe told us in Chof System we were missing the whole point. Now the Babik the whole pshat in Chabad Hasidus is that it has to come from us. We could have the Sarusa del Eila, he could give us, the Rebbe can give us the koyach, he can give us the arousal, but we have to do the work. We have to be the ones to be Mashiach. And if you look now through his sikhs, it seems much more obvious. Especially in those years, just before Chof Nisan, if you look at that whole period of time with that there was crazy miracles with Saddam Hussein and the missiles and Russia, that whole period with Russia happened after this, but it was a crazy time of miracles. We saw the Rebbe was through the world. He was controlling everything of it. It was well, Shnas Niflai Serena, there was revealed miracles. So the Rebbe was going to do anything. Came to the bomb, it was such a big bomb, because suddenly the Rebbe was saying, this is the one thing I'm leaving to you. Everything that I can do in this regard I've done. And what's the Rebbe's complaint? You guys don't even care. I tell you to say Ad Mosai, you say we want Mashiach now. You listen, you're good soldiers. I don't want soldiers, in the Rebbe's almost saying. It sounds like you're saying, I don't want soldiers, I want you to become Rabbi. I want you to feel it yourself. I want you to care about Mashiach. Which normal person, they're not a Rebbe, they're not a big, Heilige person, really cares about Mashiach. Some people say that really the truth is that this wasn't a Gilui of Chof Nisan. This really started in Purim Topshim Mem Zayin. Purim 1987. Because over there, the Rebbe says a whole long sikha, which I must confess I haven't learned the whole thing. It's connected, I feel connected to it because it's 4 days after I was born, so now we know how old I am. So probably the first Farbrengen after I was born, the Rebbe started the Mashiach campaign. Mendel had us in the world, we can now bring Mashiach. But anyway, according to many people, the Mashiach campaign started from Purim Topshim Mem Zayin, even though the Rebbe had been first talking about Mashiach. But why? Over there he talks about how generally the concept of Mashiach was given over to like the Yechidus Segula, the higher Nisan, Rabbeim, Tzadikim. But now he's, so to speak, he's giving it over to us. He's going to give it over to us. And he talks about over there, I can't remember, I think his name was Rabbi Gordon. Who was the last king of Yisrael? Yishai ben Elah or something like that? Yishai ben Elah. Last king of Yisrael. What happened with Yishai ben Elah? He was the last but the greatest king of Yisrael in a way. Why? Yeravim ben Nevat goes to Talmud Chacham, got a major Russia. So what did he do? He was worried that it's going to come the Shlosh Regalim, and Yidden are going to want to go up to the Beis HaMikdash. They're going to go up to the Beis HaMikdash, and they're going to see, there's a halakha that only everybody has to stand in the Beis HaMikdash except for a king that is from Malchus Beis David. That's from Ben David, Mishpachas Ben David. And then they're going to realize that the whole divide, the Rabbi ben Nevat, right? He was the first king of Yisrael. The divide that happened between Rechavam and Rabbi ben Nevat, Yehuda and Yisrael, the Jewish people get divided. He was worried that the Yidden, all Yisrael, the Asar Shvatim that he had, they're going to see Rechavam, the son of Shlomo Melech, is sitting, and everybody sitting. They'll see Rabbi ben Nevat. They'll wake up and they realize they made a stupid mistake by pointing to Rabbi ben Nevat. So what does he do? He decides to make Egel Hazov, so he places them in different parts of Eretz Yisrael, and he blocks off the roads to Yerushalayim. And from then on, all the generations, all the way to the end of Malchus Yisrael, the Shvatim from Malchus Yisrael aren't able to go up to bring Karbonis. They have to go to these, that's why they're all Rishayim, all those kings are Rishayim, and they're all Ovdei Avodah Zarah. Most of you know Ovdei Avodah Zarah. That's all they had, really. Comes Yishai ben Elah, the last king, and what does he do? Hundreds of years later, he opens the borders and allows people to go back up to the Beis HaMikdash. What happens? Who was it? Not Said Khairov. Help me out. That exiled the Yidden. Shalmaneser. Yeah. So okay, whatever. He comes and he starts from Yishai ben Elah. Now that he finally opens the borders, that's when the Galus starts. We lose the Asara Shvatim. The question is why? Finally, the borders are open. Now, finally, Yidden can go back to the Beis HaMikdash after hundreds of years. Now they get lost. Now they get exiled. What's the answer? The answer is that the reason why they were exiled is because they had the opportunity to go to the Beis HaMikdash and they didn't. Till then, they could have blamed it on the kings. The kings never allowed them. Now, there's nobody to blame. So now the default was their own. So they were exiled. So says the Rebbe brings us in the Sikha in Tafshim Zion, and he says, by me giving over the concept of Mashiach to you, I'm putting myself at risk. So to speak. You might think that I'm putting myself at risk because I'm telling you that if I give you over the concept of Mashiach, what happens if you don't do it? Till now, you'll say it was the Nisim, it was the Segula that were in charge of it, so you couldn't have been blamed for Mashiach not coming. But if you don't take Mashiach seriously, then maybe you can blame. So the Rebbe told us something like, even if you don't do it, it still won't have a negative impact on you. So it's like, I'm giving you the opportunity to be part of it. So people are saying that really the concept of Chof Nisan and Kibari Ba'ayach, I'm giving it over to you, started Tafshim and Zion. I would like to say that possibly it started Yud Adar, Rishon, Tafshim and Aleph, when the Rebbe originally said the first time V'ata Tetzava, the last one the Rebbe gave out. In V'ata Tetzava, it's literally the same concept. The Rebbe speaks about how every single Yid should be from themselves demanding Mashiach. Why should we want Mashiach? We should want Mashiach Because the fact that there's no Gilei Elikus should bother us. And he brings the fact that the Alter Rebbe used to say, the whole statement, all I want is I only want the Eibishter. He was giving us the koyach, us Amachon, regular people, that we should have that strength to do it as well. And because our Etzem and Neshama is one with the Eibishter, the fact that the Eibishter is in Gola should bother us. And the Rebbe was telling us in the Maimor, Vata Tetzaveh, that we should really be bothered that Mashiach hasn't come. And what does it come saying? Chof Nissan Tavshin Nun Aleph, that we're not. He sees. He says if there would have been a few people that would have been bothered, Mashiach would have come already. But nobody cares. I think it was Zalman Gerari that walked past. The Rebbe gave out dollars afterwards, and Zalman Gerari walked past, and the Rebbe whispered something in his ear, and he said, "Noga v'lo paga." Nobody cares. He just cried literally in public. The most revealed we've ever seen the Rebbe was in that Sikha, to a certain degree. Nisan, and lo noga v'lo paga. Nobody cares. Of course, people don't understand. What do you mean? People were up all night afterwards. So how could we say we didn't care? The answer that the Rebbe gave us to start caring was learning the Yonah Kol Mashiach. And he called us the Derech HaYashar. I've been Zocher, and I hope to give many, many more. But one of the things I do, and I had done, and I was working with people, Baruch Hashem, involved in Morab and Shul, Chaim Chabad, with the Greenbaums. One of the things I did was giving shiurim. I was in Sydney over here. But one of the questions was give shiurim and Chassidus, and you talk about Abbas Hashem and Yiras Hashem. Every fire person tells you, I don't care about that. I never think about that. I said, of course you don't. When's the last time you thought about the Eibishter? Do you realize that everything that you have comes from the Eibishter? Do you realize that Eibishter is watching every single moment? The fact that you're breathing right now, no, you never thought about it. Because you don't care about the Eibishter, because you never bothered to think about the Eibishter. You can't care about it, you don't think about it. So what did the Alter Rebbe teach us? And he said, you know what? I'm going to give you the way to start caring about the Eibishter, to build your own connection. Start thinking about the Eibishter, start learning about the Eibishter, and then do something which is somewhat weird. Do his voyance. Meditate on it, think about it. What does it do? What does it do? We live in a physical world. We don't see no Eibishter. We eat beautiful cake and eat the pasta and the face. That's our life. That's what we see. Money talks. Eibishter doesn't. If the Eibishter is talking to you, you belong in a special place. So are you supposed to develop any kind of feeling for Eibishter? So the Alter Rebbe came up with this idea. Create a new reality. You don't feel the Eibishter. You know that the Eibishter is there, but you don't feel him. Make for a few moments a day, make the Eibishter your reality. What do? You take yourself in a corner somewhere, you learn Chassidus, you learn about the Eibishter, and you start thinking about it. By yourself. What actually happens when you start thinking about it? The reality that you were thinking about before is you were thinking about how I'm going to make the next $500, or what I'm going to do business deal, or how am I going to get to work in time, or how am I going to finish davening as quick as possible, or whatever it is. Is the mikveh going to be hot enough? All these inyanim which are very important. I want you to stop thinking about that for a moment, says the Alter Rebbe, and take a few moments and try to make a new reality. Think about the Eibishter. Make the Eibishter for those few moments your reality. And you'll change your whole existence. That's why his blindness is so primary, so important. Because unfortunately, I don't do it enough. I don't think most of us do it enough. Sitting back in the day, used to do it for hours. And they were real Chassidim. They lived in that reality. It changed the way they thought. I was learning today, I've got this guy that I've been learning Tanya with him since I was in Kollel. Started when I was in Kollel. Today, he was one of the guys that has very much machadzik me about going on shlichus, to starting a new shlichus. He's been supportive financially. All that. I've been learning with him for eight years now. Tanya. We haven't come close to finishing, but so we learned today We started learning Pentecost and Shari Yechid B'Emunah. We haven't learned everything till then, but that's what we're holding right now. Over there, the Alter Rebbe explains the way that Chabad Hasidus works. The way Chabad Hasidus, it says Chof. What's a person? I remember my mashpi in Yeshiva, Bishop Al-Paravich, he says, Mazi Adam, what's a person? It's a desire. A person desires. That's what it is. That's what your nefesh is. Nefesh is a desire. A chukka. The only thing is, that thing that you desire, that's your natural state of being. You have to desire. What you desire can change. How do you change what you desire? Change your mind. So a little kid, all they understand is little toys, and if you dare put the red food with the yellow food, or give them the yellow plate instead of the pink plate, then oy vey, they're going to throw all their food on the floor. Why? Because that's all their mind can handle. Because their mind is at that stage. They don't understand anything else. So therefore they get really upset when you do give them the wrong plate. An adult is a little bit smarter and he understands the plate, hopefully, doesn't make such a difference what color the plate is. Or it's not the little car, but now it's the big car that makes the difference. It's worth much more. So all that's changed is our mind. You don't desire the little car anymore. Now what do you desire? The big car. Because what changed? Your mind. You still have desire. Your desire has been there the whole time from when you were a kid, because in order for you to be in existence, you have to have a desire. But the only thing that changed is your mind, and it made you desire something else. He told us, Alter Rebbe, if I make your reality, if I teach you about the Eibishter, you might actually start wanting the Eibishter. You might actually start desiring the Eibishter. Have a feeling towards the Eibishter. That's what we respond to. And then you start thinking about them when you have these ideas of the Eibishter, so I realize the Eibishter is good for you. You start having a pleasure for the Eibishter. Why? Because you tasted the Eibishter. But now that you taste the Eibishter, you see it's good. So you've changed what you desire. And you start living in that reality. The more you do it, the more you desire it, the more you live over there. By the way, you're never going to change yourself totally. You're still going to want the things that you don't like because you're not a tzaddik. Just in case you think that if you do enough as bonus, you're going to stop being interested in absolute nonsense. Don't get the Alter Rebbe gives us that awareness too. That's a separate discussion. But then what happens? It goes from your mind. Chabad is about the mind. You change your mind. It changes what you appreciate. You have the das. The das is this boineness. You make that your reality. It will change the way you feel. You'll start, instead of appreciating only a piece of pizza, you'll start to appreciate a stick of cities. You'll start appreciating davening because you've changed that. You appreciate a mitzvah. You live over there. Came along the Rebbe in Tafshin Nun Aleph and tells us, if you don't care about Mashiach. You know why you don't care about Mashiach? Because you've never thought about Mashiach. Mashiach is foreign to you. You don't understand Mashiach. Mashiach makes no sense to you. You know, the Rebbe understands Mashiach. He lives in that world. He lives in a world of Mashiach. So he wants Mashiach. We don't. The Rebbe was crying out to us, I want you to start living in that world. I want you to start learning. So how do you do it? I'd like to say that this is what the Rebbe is saying. The Rebbe is telling us, learn in Yom just like you learn. By the way, Chassidus is in Yom Mashiach. Most Chassidus. Although the Rebbe wanted us to have a special emphasis on those sikhs that are directly connected to Yom Mashiach. But all of Chassidus, to a certain degree, it's all about Dir B'Tachtonim. That's all Chassidus is all about. Showing us the premise that Alpha is all ultimately about which is Mashiach. But the Rebbe wanted us to take this inyonia of Gula Mashiach and start making it a reality to ourselves, and that's how we'll start caring about Mashiach. You know, this concept of reality, I've been thinking about it. I recently listened to Shalom Mordechai Rabashkin. He says, whenever he talks, he speaks about how some of these stories you've probably heard, but it's good to chazal in any case. Aleph Beis Gimel. Emunah b'tachon geula. It's about changing the way you think. Brings the geula. He doesn't ever say that I was in prison. I was in a place called prison. What is he trying to teach us? I was there, but I wasn't there. One of the stories that he says is how there was this older guy that started to befriend him and started asking questions and did favors for him. And then eventually he started, with friends. And later on he found out that this guy would possibly do the worst crimes. He was a murderer, he used to kill people for money. But anyway, he got this kasher. One day he used to write Divrei Torah and send it to his family. He wanted his family to know that he's not in prison. He's there, begashmus, but not beruchnis. He was sitting and learning. One day it was a hot day, there was no air conditioning. And so what did they do? They had this ice machine. And because it was a hot day, the ice had run out. People were lining up waiting for new ice to make. He was in the middle of writing one of his Divrei Torah in the computer. The computer had limitations, and he said time out. The time in the computer was going to finish before it was finished. So he goes down to the ice machine, it's getting really hot. And he sees this old man over there waiting in the line. He says, oh, my friend, this old murderer. He says to him, do me a favor, listen, I am busy doing something before the computer runs out. Do you mind? You're already standing in the line. Just get a few pieces of advice from me too. The guy says, no, in a very harsh voice. Okay, whatever. He didn't have time. He left it. He went without the ice. Later in the day, this guy comes up to him and says, Rabashkin, you wronged me. You embarrassed me. So, what are you talking about? What did I do? He says, you asked me to do something for you in front of my gang. And they realized that he was a gang leader over there. You disrespected me, asking me to do something. He's the king over there. He said, I'm sorry, I never realized. Nobody's ever apologized to this guy. These people don't understand the apology. Somebody comes, he was ready to beat him up and kill him. That's what Rabashkin said. He just apologized. He said, Rabashkin, forget about it. I see you with your books. You're not even here. Rabashkin says it's the greatest compliment ever got. He was in prison. He wasn't even there. He lived there without being there. He says how he made a achlata when he's there that he's not going to allow himself to be makel on anything. All these chumras that he keeps at home, he's going to be try to utmost. So they try to take away his tzitzis, his yamukan tzitzis once, and he said he wouldn't walk without it. And his lawyer came, and he wouldn't go to the phone to get his lawyer because he never had yamukan tzitzis. And the guy laughed at him, and eventually he got it back. And he said how Pashat, by keeping these chumras that actually gave him, making sure not to be more lenient. He said most people, unfortunately there's other from people that go into prisons, but the majority of them, they come, they head there, they're eating Chal Yisrael, they're upside down, and after Chal Yisrael in prison, it's too hard out. He wasn't making on anything. Every single chumrah that he kept. It's like the hand, why should I be any different? Why should I be in prison by prison? He Pashat lived in a state of geula over there. He wasn't there. He lived in a different reality. He says how the one Hanukkah, he got permission to, I don't know if it was the last Hanukkah or one of the Hanukkahs, he got permission to light menorah for 30 minutes from the head guard over there. And the guard, it happened to be just before Hanukkah, it was Kratzmach or whatever, the guard left. And there's other guy that took over, and the other guy didn't know about it. And the menorah that this guard had prepared for the senior guard had locked in his office. He said, sorry, you don't have nothing. The guard's gone. What happened? The guy realized that this Rabashkin was serious. He came back from his holiday to open his office for Rabashkin. And then he said, I need to light it in a place, and I need half an hour to stay there. And there's this guard that hadn't been so nice, and the new guy that was filling. He said, Rabashkin said, by the way, halachically, he was thinking, halachically, you only have to do 30 minutes, which was bechlal, a big thing for him, that they were letting him stay alone in this room for 30 minutes with his menorah. He says, but, really, he says to this guard, really, I'm supposed to be doing 50 minutes, Chabad minute, because we do 50 minutes. He tries to explain to this. The guy's like, I don't know, he didn't seem to understand. He said, tell me, Rabashkin, how do you do it in your home? He says, in my home, I stayed there for at least 2 hours by the campus. The guy says, you're going to do it like you do it in your home. He lived in a different reality. He possibly was like that. People live in a Mashiach reality. They just see the world differently. We think what the Alter Rebbe taught us that the place that we live in has nothing to do with the lives that we live. The circumstances, it's poshut, everything is in your mind. Everything about what you're going through is simply in your mind. You don't like the day, they say you don't like the weather in Melbourne, wait 5 minutes. You don't like what's going on in your mind, you don't like your life, change it. You had a week of bad income, make yourself in your mind have good income. Make it you don't care so much that you had bad income. You had a fight with somebody in your family, or somebody at work, or whatever it is, in school, in yeshiva, or you didn't learn that, well, convince yourself that you did. Everything that is in your life is all dependent on what goes on in your mind. You don't like the reality, change it. What's the word for simcha? I think this is from Zoya. Simcha osis machshava. You're not besimcha, besimcha. Besimcha. To be besimcha is dependent on machshava. Change what you're thinking. Change what you're thinking. This is what it's all about simcha. Simcha, how can I be besimcha? Look at these terrible things that are going on. I can't pay my mortgage this week. I can't pay my rent. I don't have things, and I'm not getting this, and I'm not much in my learning. And if you don't like it, change it. Just start thinking differently. There's some people that they have everything going right for them, and they're still depressed. And some people that have everything going wrong for them, and they're happy. Because it's not dependent. It's nothing to do with what's going on. It's simply to do with what you decide to make of the reality that you live in. We did this test. I think it was like Harvard did a test on people. They gave people these glasses that make everything upside down. So you see a person, everything's upside down. So the first couple of days, they couldn't really function because everything was upside down. After a few days, a couple of weeks, whatever, their mind changed, and they started seeing everything up the right way up in the same glasses. What changed is the way they saw it. And then when they took off the glasses, they couldn't see everything was upside down. Well, they showed us that it's all based on your brain. Your brain plays games with you. The reality that you're seeing is what your brain's doing to you. The Rebbe wanted us to change our reality. And I'm not talking because I've done this. I'm just talking because I'm talking to myself. I had an amazing mashpia in yeshiva. Some of you may have heard of him, Bumi Friedland from Kiryat Gat. He's poshut, a holy Jew. Mamish Yohan, if anybody that's met him, one of the holiest Jews. He's not a tzaddik nister even. He's a tzaddik gluya. They say about him how his parents were in Chabad. He came to Chabad, this is the story that I heard, that his parents wanted him to go to university, so they agreed that they would go to a Yechidus with the Rebbe. The Rebbe would decide. And the Rebbe told his parents, when he finishes Shas, he can go to university. What did he take it, as the Rebbe was saying? You have to finish Shas within a short amount of time. He was like an average bacher, they said. But within a short amount of time, he finished Shas. But he's horrible. He was poshut. They said he never slept. They said that his bed was used by 3 people. He never slept in it because he would sleep on the bench. In 770, there was a sign in front of his thing. He would put the Rebbe. They said that people saw the Rebbe going and putting a coat on top of him. My year that he was my Magid Shir, both of his parents passed away. So we got like a little bit of a watered down, but a great. Like he bring with us extra, but less because he was. But he always used to say, the reason I'm mentioning him, he always used to say, "Ani lo mer lachem." He's actually Canadian, but he's been living in. "Ani lo medaber lachem. Ani lo medaber latzmi." Incredible person. Anyway, but that's what the Rebbe wanted from us, to change the reality that we live in. And it's just the way that we see things. Pasha's got to change, and the way we do it is through Yom Mashiach. I really, if anybody is really interested in it, I can't recommend the Sefer enough. If you want to start understanding Mashiach, to learn the Sefer in Mashiach, the guy's done such an incredible job. Murdered. Okay, we'll remember that.
I don't need this shot so much.
Talking about Rabashkin and Bitochen that he's mentioned, that's the story that came to my mind, and I've mentioned to the Fabrain that I had at my house, Nicholas Abayas. But it's a story that I've really good story. The story in a sense has really changed the way I think. There's this guy Bitterman, Rabbi Bitterman, and Melech Bitterman, who gives out the well springs, the Shmak Gezachim. One week he had a story over there, very powerful story. The story was how There's this guy that for many years, he in his shul, he does the call-ups for Chosim Torah and Chosim Bereshis. He knows the whole special nusach that they have in their shul. And he's got a good voice, and he does it, and it's beautiful, and it's a big coverage for him, and Mom looks forward to it. And one year, the Rabbi of the shul, whoever comes up to him and says, I'm sorry, but this year you can't do it. You can do it for Chosim Torah. You can't do it for Chosim Bereshis. You have to give it to somebody else. He finds us out 3 days before Simchas Torah. It's mamish tzibrochim. It's like, Pasha, this is, some people, they wait the entire year to say Kol Nidre. This was what he left his whole year and looking forward to the Bershus. And he's got the nusach down packed, and now this year he can't do this. It's broken. How could it be? I'm not going to say it. Can't sleep. Comes Simchas Torah. Does the Bershus for Chosim Torah. But it's broken. Comes Chosim Bereshis. Now the younger guy comes up. Doesn't do good. It's mamish schwache meist. Doesn't have a good voice. Doesn't know the nusach. He's possibly, why do they do this? I know the stuff. Look to while there's all that tzibroch, and suddenly what does he hear? Yamoid. What does he hear? His name. The guy calls him up for Chosim Bereshis. His family had bought him Chosim Bereshis, and they wanted to keep it as a surprise for him. They just said, you're not going to be able to do it. A powerful lesson then. What happened over here? This guy, he thought that he was losing something. Something bad was happening to him. But really what was happening, he was getting something much greater. Much, much greater. Because that he couldn't sleep for 3 days. We all go through this in life. We go through hardships, we go through difficulties, whatever it is. If we decide that really the reason why this is happening, and it's always true, by the way, you look through your life, and every time something difficult happens, think about it. Pasha, go through your life and think about it. You'll see, I could do it personally. Times that I struggled, there was a greater outcome of it. It was a difficult time. But if you know in the struggle, if you know at the moment of the struggle that the reason why I'm struggling now is because something great is going to come out of you, you won't suffer in the first place. You only suffer because you allow yourself to suffer. That's part of the hell and the hester of this world. Changing your mind, that's the concept of the emunah and bitachon that we have. Rabbi said how, I just listened to recently, so there are certain things that were very powerful. At the last night of, the day before he got released, he got the letter from the highest courts that they find in the last place that you could ever appeal to. I don't know what it's called. Beyond the Supreme Court, I don't know what it is. Sorry, he's been denied. 8th Circuit or something like that, yeah? He's been denied. Now this was the last chance that all these people had seen, there was over 27 years, was exaggerated. And this was the last and final straw. There was nothing else al pi teva that could be done. And what did he say? He said he was happy. Why was he happy? Because now he had done everything al pi teva to try to get out of the situation. Now he knew, says the words, excuse me if I say it correctly, Hashleich el Hashem al pi teva, we have to do everything we can. We have to do everything that we can in our abilities to do it. But when you tried everything, that's where bitachon comes in. He said he was besimcha because he knew now that Hashem was going to take care of the situation. Al pi teva, there was nothing else he can do. The very next day, he got the message that he was released. We try whatever we can do. I heard this word some time ago. I think I heard it on a Jacobson recording. I get to do lots of driving, living out in Dingley from the Rabbi. They drive half my shlichus is driving around visiting businesses. I do a lot of driving. I get to listen to a lot of shiurim. I think it was a Jacobson shiur somewhere. And he says a word over there from the Baal Shem Tov. It says in Mesechus Eruvin, Hai alma kibei luladam. This world is compared to to obey Hilula. What's obey Hilula? We come up to Lag Ba'omer soon. Lag Ba'omer, what's Lag Ba'omer? It's the Hilula de Rashbi. What does Hilula mean? Hilula means a wedding. For Rashbi, the whole concept was almost like his wedding for great tzaddikim that are like, we also call, I don't know, Yom Hilula. Hilula means a wedding. So the Baal Shem Tov gave a pshat on this Gemara. What does it mean this world is like a Bey Hilula? Something like this, if I remember correctly. That this world, you go to a wedding, there's all different parts of the wedding. You do you got the Badekanish, you got the... I was dealing today with a Chassan and Kala guy. I'm doing my first marriage, and the guy, we're getting married in 6 months. Gosh, so nervous, caught up on this deal, on that deal. Is the ksuba going to be beautiful? And they're turning from fancy ksuba from overseas, and getting all caught up in the details, and then the whole year to prepare for it. Whatever, it's a big day. It's an important day. Well, people get very caught up in the details. They don't realize that the main point of the wedding is after the wedding, really. Even at the wedding itself, there's chuppah, and there's the badekanish, and there's this, and there's that. What's the actual main nekuda of the wedding? The main nekuda of the wedding is the tabas, the eirusim and the nisuim, the chuppah. Most people, they don't even see it. They don't even get caught up in it. They miss it. This world, says the Baal Shem Tov, there's all types of things happening in this world. But if you miss it, you'll miss the main nekuda. If you're not careful, you'll miss the main nekuda. You live through this world, you go through everything. You could learn chassidus, you could be a shliach, you could be a balabas, you could be Pashat Ibn. If you don't have the concept of Mashiach, I'm talking to myself, Pashat, if you're not Ibn to the concept of Mashiach, you miss the whole nekuda from the Rebbe. You could have got all the other chassidus, other Shiva, Rabbi, even though all the other Rabbi are about Mashiach as well. But the last years of the Rebbe, there's nothing that the Rebbe cared about more than Mashiach. If you don't have the concept of Mashiach, you missed the whole game. Look at the Rebbe Sichos. You missed the whole point. There's so much there. If you don't have a koch in Mashiach, you missed it. And that was the Chof Nissan. In this sefer over here, one of the things that he does is he helps us understand Chof Nissan. And he explains what it means. If you look at the sefer, I'm giving it over to you. What does it mean that the Rebbe was giving it over to us? He said, I'm making you the achrayus. It's your achrayus. I'll explain in my own verita a little bit. My way of understanding what he's saying about what the Rebbe said. There's a famous story about, I think it's the Rebbe Rashab and the Briskerov, that they were at some conference because of some gzeira against education or something in Petersburg. All the big rabbonim in town came to it. And after the conference, they weren't matzliach, whatever they were trying to achieve. And afterwards, Reb Chaim Brisker came to visit the Rebbe Rashab in the place where he was staying. And he saw the Rebbe Rashab was possibly crying. He said to the Rebbe Rashab, we tried, we did all we can. What are you crying about? There's nothing to cry about. You're crying over nothing. You can't change it. The Rebbe Rashab said something like this to him. He said, in the world, there's two types of people. There's employers and there's employees. Employees, they do whatever they're told to do, whatever they're employed to do. But, you get done whatever you can. And then come to the end of the day, you weren't successful in what you're going to do, you go home, and that's it. You tried your best. But then there's employees. The employers, there's the boss. It's his business. It's his life on the line. This employee, he'll get his job. If it doesn't work out over here, I'll go somewhere else. This is his whole thing. If he doesn't, it's not successful, he's not going to just go home. He's going to stay. He's going to stay all night and make sure it happens. Rabbi Rashab said to the Chaim Brisker that we're not workers, we're not just employees. We're the balabas. It's our responsibility. We can't just go to sleep. No, we tried all that we can. No, it's our responsibility. How can you go to sleep? We tried everything you can and now go to sleep. This is my understanding, based on what he explains over here, what the Rebbe was telling us in Chof. I'm telling you now, says the Rebbe, in my understanding. Till now, you were employees. I was telling you what to do. You did it. And if you were successful, whatever you did, good. If not, not. Now I'm telling you that's not. It's not the way it's really going to be. I'm not the boss anymore in a sense when it comes to this. It's not me that's going to make it happen. It's you. It's your responsibility. You shouldn't be able to go to sleep if Mashiach's not here. You don't care. You're crying out, it must be because I'm telling you. You're not doing because you really care. It's now your job. It's your avodah. Your responsibility. Literally, you have to take the concept of Mashiach and make it your... You shouldn't be able to sleep at night without if Mashiach's not here. That's what the Rebbe is saying, in my understanding.
I'm a bracha.
Yeah.